Hey guys, my name is Bethany Atazadeh and I'm the author of Evelyn's Number. I'm so excited for our last conversation about beta readers on how to use beta reader feedback. Like I said in my other two videos, this topic is super important to me, plus I am extremely detailed, so I've broken it up into 3 different videos. The first video was all about why you need beta readers, what to expect from them, how to find them, and how to form your group. The second video was all about how to work with your beta readers once you have them in my personal process. If you missed either of those videos, I will leave the links for both of them below, but today's video is all about what the heck do you do with all this feedback once you have it. In my last video, we talked a lot about the questions that you can ask your beta readers during the process, and I gave you a bunch of different questions that I personally use. Now you're on the other end of things, and you're probably feeling a little overwhelmed with just how many answers that you have. If you're sending out your chapters in chunks, you can decide if you want to edit as you go and take their feedback in smaller portions. The pros to this is that you're not going to feel as overwhelmed because you're working in smaller sections. The con is that you might not get everyone's feedback all at the same time and it just might not be feasible. You might be like me and you don't have enough time to start working on edits during the process, and you might end up waiting until it's finished before you begin working on their feedback, and that's totally okay. It's a little bit bigger, but it's still manageable and you can still do this. Whichever way you go, the very first thing that I do is I make a Word document where I compile all those different beta readers' feedback documents into one place. Not only is this awesome because you don't have time to hop around between 10 to 30 different documents as you're editing, but it's also going to lead to the next step, which is the rule of 3. I don't remember where I first heard this, but it was like a light bulb moment for me. I was sitting there with feedback that was just so all over the board and I didn't know what to do with it. And then I read this idea of how if one person says something or 2 people say something, it's just an opinion. But if 3 or more people say the same thing, then you know that it's something you need to address. I have so many good examples, but I'll give you the one that always comes to mind first. I had my characters driving for 2 days, and I never once mentioned that they needed to get gas. As I'm typing up this Word document, the first person says, shouldn't they get gas? So I write that in. The next person says, hey, I was waiting for them to have to get gas and for something crazy to happen. So in my Word document, I'll put a little bullet point underneath as the second person agreeing with it, and I'll say, someone else thought they should get gas. Then the third person came up and they said, hey, is this like a supercar that they don't need gas? That's cool, but you probably should say that. So in my Word document, I type another bullet point under the first 2. Third person thinks they should have gotten gas. Okay, that's enough right there for you to know this is something that you probably need to address. Now it gets even funnier if out of your 20-ish beta readers you have about 17 of them saying the same thing. Then it's super obvious, right? But I think the rule of 3 applies even if it's only 3 out of 20. You want to take it into consideration. I would say in almost every case, it's never going to hurt you to address the problem. Even if it's only adding one sentence that just clarifies things, it's almost always helpful. You'll often find that people who didn't even notice the problem still really appreciate the addition to the story. Okay, so that's what you do if you get a lot of the same answers or people confirming in one way or another that they agree that there's a problem. So what do you do if it's just 1 or 2 people? At that point, it really depends. I'm not saying you should throw out their opinion because maybe their idea will add to the story even though nobody else thought of it. Definitely not saying that if it's just 1 or 2 people's opinion that you should throw it out, because that's not the case at all. What I am saying is that after you've considered that opinion, if it's all by itself and you disagree with it, you have the freedom to say, I'm not going to make that change. I like it the way it is, and so do the other 19 out of 20 people. This is where a large beta reader group is especially exciting because the more people you have, the more obvious it is when it's just one person's opinion. Again, still consider it because it might be a brilliant idea. Just because only one person thought of it doesn't mean it's a bad idea. I think I've talked about this before in my video on how to give and receive great feedback, which I'll link below as well, but it's so common to get conflicting feedback and have one person hate it while another one likes it, and that one likes it and the other one hates it. So this rule of 3 is so so helpful to you when you have multiple opinions to know which is the voice that you should be listening to. I also want to mention really quick that if you included chapter ratings in your questions that we talked about in the last video, then this is the time when you will take all of those chapter ratings and create an average for each chapter. So if you find that you're getting a lot of 7, 8, 9, 10, then you know that that chapter is fairly strong. But if you're getting more 3, 4, 5, 6, you're going to know that that's a weaker chapter that you'll want to put more of your attention on and focus on more. My final tip for you guys is just don't get overwhelmed. Take it a chunk at a time. As my husband likes to say, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. This is your elephant. If you have good beta readers, you have got hundreds of pages to go through, and it's okay. You'll get through it. Just take it chapter at a time. I remember feeling so overwhelmed that at the end of it, I only took like 5 or 6 chapters at a time, each round that I'd sent out, and I just focused on that and on editing that before I moved to the next section. Do whatever works for you so that you can get through it. Don't let yourself get overwhelmed. It is doable. If you guys liked what you heard, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe below. And you can also ring that bell if you want to stay notified about videos in the future and be the first to know. If you missed any of the other beta reader videos, again, the links are all going to be below. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye!